Okay, we're back again for another one of our workouts. Today I'm going to go over one of the workouts I did. Actually, the workout I did it earlier today, bench press with bands. My buddy Dwayne Nill and I like to do these every few weeks just to break it up from the standard bench press workout. And this particular one, we're going to do these extra bands. We'll talk about it at the time, but they add about 200 pounds of resistance at the very top of the lift. And you'll see that as we start with some free weights, once we add the bands, the difference between the 225 we do free weight and the 225 with the extra bands and how much more difficult it is to lock it out at the top. So I'll start playing it and we'll walk through it right now. Like I said, we warmed up with some lighter weight first, and now we're at 185, just kind of working through, getting a feel for the range of motion, making sure we're in the right groove, and also just making sure the chest and shoulders and everything are kind of warmed up and ready to handle the weight. I did film Dwayne lifting on some of these, which I don't always include in my videos, but I'm going to start doing that a little bit more. But I didn't get him on these lighter lifts. I think I got him a little bit after this. But here's 225. Obviously very easy. It moves up smoothly. Pay attention to that because when we add the bands, you'll see the significant difference in how that feels, or how that looks, excuse me. It feels different also. But Dwayne's here getting set up for his set of 225. Um, we were talking as we were doing this as usual, and I'm sure that anybody who works out realizes that when you're working out with partners, you don't just lift the weights and that's all you talk about. We talk about every other thing you can imagine: families, work, what's going on in the weather, all that kind of stuff. Some of it interesting, some maybe not so. But he had mentioned that we might even have to mic up one of these days because some of the stuff might be interesting to people. Although I was thinking about that as we were talking, and probably best that we don't all the time because sometimes we say some stuff that people we know might be offended by. So uh, we don't always, yeah, we got to be careful what we say if we start doing that. So you can see the weight's moving pretty easy. We're still kind of warming up and getting our old bodies. I think Dwayne's 52. He'll probably correct me if I'm wrong, but he's around there. I'm 56. Um, I'm trying to hang on to whatever strength I used to have. It's slipping away, and I can feel it. I'm also my body weight's been going down on purpose, and I'm just getting older, and things that used to be really easy are a lot more difficult now. He, on the other hand, which is super impressive to me, is actually getting stronger, even though he's going into his 50s and he's hitting PRs all the time. So that's pretty awesome for him. He's competing in the Arnold Classic this next March in a full powerlifting meet, raw. Um, I think his squat is nearing 700 raw. His bench is about almost 420 raw, and his deadlift is, I want to say, 635, 640 ish. So hopefully he'll get PRs in all those areas and set some records at the Arnold. All right, so there we are, still free weight. That was 315, I think it was, and with nothing else, pretty easy. Now 225 again, but with the bands. Notice the difference on how much more difficult it is to lock those out than it was with the light. See the slowdown at the top, and it's really grinding it out because it feels like 425 at the top compared to 225. Very different. Um, and I usually end up adding a bench band, a slingshot, widowmaker, something like that. When I go above 225 with the bands, especially, it puts a lot of pressure on your joints, and I found that I get better benefits. I actually, not only do I lift heavier, but I actually get a better carryover into my other lifts when I do it this way. I started it years ago, and it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but it works, and that's why I do it. So here I'm at 315 plus the band, so 515 at the top, and single ply widowmaker. It helps me get just enough push off the bottom that I can get to near the top where I really need to work on locking out the heavier weight. And yeah, it works pretty well for me, although it did feel pretty heavy. Got a couple of people passing through just trying to get on the video. Dwayne had looked like a super easy time with his 315. He is also wearing a single ply widowmaker for that one. We're up to 4 plates, 405 plus the bands, so it's 605 at the top. And I decided to do two. I think Dwayne wasn't expecting me to do that, so he's trying to grab it. Um, and then he goes to 365 plus the bands. It's kind of an interesting thing how the different exercises work for different people because normally his lockout is stronger than mine. I'll struggle with a lockout on free weights, and if he gets it halfway up, he locks it out easily. But when we do bands or bench press shirt work, I'm better at the top end, which I don't know why that is, but for whatever reason, um, these are solid 365s. Um, oh yeah, those are solid three. I don't know if I could do that right now, but a lot of times it's weird that I actually do better on some of the lockout stuff with equipment, even though his lockout generally is stronger than mine. I think maybe it's just the combination of speed generated at the bottom, helping you lock out at the top. This 5 plates, 495, was not going to go all the way for me. I got stuck. He grabbed it pretty quick, but he knows me. He knew when wasn't going to go anymore, and he grabbed it. And he was right. I wasn't going to lock it out today. And then he tried the 405. In his defense on this, because I know he struggles with it, is he's still at a single ply, and I actually used a double ply on mine. So um, ended up being a pretty good workout. I'll bring that back and start. Ended up being a pretty good workout. Um, Definitely noticed that we hadn't done it in a while, and when I in a while I say months, several months, we haven't done any of the bands, and it's one of those things that if you don't use it, you lose it, and we definitely felt that. But the good thing is, we know that there's room to improve, and there's kind of a challenge there. Which again, if you've been doing this for 40 years plus, you're gonna have to find things to challenge yourself and to push yourself. And so now we have the goal of getting back to what we were doing, maybe even a little bit more moving forward. And for me to do as much as I was doing before, but at a lighter body weight. So